Wolves have officially announced the appointment of Rob Edwards earlier today. Now, this is a massive bit of news for the club. It's finally nice to have a bit of clarity about what's going on in the managerial situation. And I do think on a 3.5-year deal, there is a lot to unpack about this deal for Rob Edwards. In this video, we're going to be breaking down some of Jeff Shee's quotes, whether you believe them or not. We're going to be breaking down Rob Edwards as a manager. And then throughout the next few weeks of the international break, we are going to be doing little pieces about tactics and stuff like that. So if you do enjoy these videos and you are one of the 67% of people who watch these videos who aren't subscribed, please click the subscribe button below. It is free and all you have to do is click subscribe. Really helps me out. We are 8 subscribers away from 2,700 subscribers. The support on the channel recently has been absolutely incredible, so thank you all for that, and let's get straight into my video on Rob Edwards. Now, we're going to start off with the chairman, Jeff Shee. Now, whether you like Jeff Shee or not, or believe what he's saying, who knows? He's the same man that admitted that Wolves had sacked Gary O'Neill too late, before then being the first number that he called when Vitor Pereira was sacked. So let's be honest, no one really believes what Fosun have to say, what Jeff Shee has to say. You know, he is the mouthpiece of nonsense, to be honest. But we're going to look at his quotes and just break them down about Rob Edwards quickly. Obviously, done an interview today and spoke very fondly of him, to be fair. So as you can see here, Chairman Jeff Shee believes Rob Edwards has required skills, personality and knowledge to lead Wolves into a new chapter as head coach. Edwards has returned for a fourth spell, this time as a permanent head coach for the first time, and it's hoped that his past with the club and experience from 4 full-time senior management roles elsewhere will now be beneficial at the Molineux. And of course, he has been successful at other places. He was really successful at Luton until, let's be honest, the last few years where it was absolutely dire. Obviously relegated from the Premier League, ultimately got them promoted to the Premier League against all odds, but got them relegated from the Premier League, then relegated into League One. So ultimately, it swings and roundabouts, I suppose. Now, as you can see here, 9 years ago, Rob helped us a lot in Paul Lambert's team, and he coached the first team for 2 games. We tried to get him into the first team after Nuno came. It didn't happen, but I've always rated his talent as a coach from the beginning when he was a youth coach. So it's clear that everyone at the club likes Rob Edwards. Now, Jeff Shee, whether you believe him or not, as I say, he does spout a lot of nonsense. But at the end of the day, everyone at the club has a lot of respect for Rob Edwards. Everyone really in the fan base has respect for him, whether they think he's made the right decision in being appointed and also leaving Middlesbrough for Wolves that look to be relegation bound is another question. But a lot of people generally are on side, and let me know in the comments where you stand on Rob Edwards, because I think it's a massive, massive appointment. A huge risk, but a massive upturn if he is backed the correct way in January, and Wolves can get out of this mess that they currently find themselves in with just 2 points after 11 Premier League games. Now, he's done well in previous jobs, of course. The Middlesbrough job is the one that's causing a lot of controversy at the moment. The Middlesbrough fan reaction, in my opinion, has been disgusting. The journalist fan reaction from Luke Edwards and many others in the journalistic sphere has been, quite frankly, disgraceful. And the way that people have acted over this saga has been, quite frankly, distasteful, to say the least, really. I think there's been a lot of issues and a lot of things that I personally haven't liked about it. But I do like the appointment for Rob Edwards for a few reasons. And in this video, we are just going to be speaking a little bit about why I like Edwards and why I think a lot of you should still remain positive about this season. And one of the reasons I like Rob Edwards is his tactical adaptability and flexibility. I think when games aren't going a certain way, he's not shy from changing things. Now, in my opinion, under Bruno Lage, under Julen Lopetegui, and under Vitor Pereira, they were far too tactically stubborn. You could even argue Nuno was to an extent as well. But I do think one thing that I've always liked about Rob Edwards, and quite frankly admired and respected, is the fact that even if it's not the right decision in the end, he will not be afraid to change things in game states, in different scenarios. If teams are changing things midway through the game and, it's looking a bit flat, or Wolves are looking like they're going to go behind, or they're going to be really struggling, I do think he will make the correct changes and at the right times, the tactical tweaks that are needed throughout this season. And like I say, under previous managers, I think, in my opinion, that it's been tactically too stubborn. Now, as I say, at Middlesbrough, I really liked some of the football they were playing. The concerns I do have is with regards to creating chances, looking a bit more fluent. And I think in the last few games of Rob Edwards' tenure there, I think they did struggle at times a lot. And you think back to the Watford game, it was quite frankly an abysmal game of football. They ultimately lost 3-0. But Watford have had a really decent start to the season, to be honest, picked some really big points. And obviously beat West Brom and stuff like that as well. coming from behind against them as well. So I think in terms of Edwards, yes, there are a lot of concerns. And I think the one thing we want to speak about really is the length of the deal. Now, the length of the deal is very, very interesting. As you can see here, Rob Edwards is the new Wolves head coach, having signed a 3.5-year deal, as you can see there. Now, I think it's so interesting that he signed a 3.5-year deal. Of course, deal lengths don't generally mean much. Of course, Vitor Pereira's was a short deal because ultimately his job was to come in, keep Wolves up, and then if he did well in keeping Wolves up and creating the fan sort of culture and bringing the team together, which he did do in the first few months, they'd extend his contract. They did extend his contract, and then, quite frankly, in probably some of the worst circumstances you could possibly have imagined. And it was, quite frankly, one of the most dreadful decisions of the season, in my personal opinion. But you don't expect much different from Fosun and Jeff Shee, do you? But 3.5 years is interesting. I think for me, that reads very much as, if Wolves get relegated, Rob Edwards will probably stay because they will have a decent chance of coming back up, given the fact that his style of football, as we know, does suit the Championship. It's no coincidence that he's come up with Luton, quite frankly, against all odds. And then he's also, pretty much, I think, guaranteed Middlesbrough at least a playoff spot this season so far. I think no matter who comes in for them, whether it's Alex Neil from Millwall or another manager, I think they will be in the playoffs this season personally. So I think Rob Edwards is clearly proven at that level. Is he proven at Premier League level? No, not really. You could argue that his Luton side were one of the braver sides we've seen in terms of, they took massive risks, but equally they were brave and they did take it to teams. You think of the Liverpool game, they were excellent against Liverpool, excellent against Arsenal, unfortunately lost 4-3 at home as well. And in some of those games, they were really, really impressive. So I do think that in terms of bravery and seeing more fluid attacking football, I think that's what we can expect from Rob Edwards. But I do think the length of the deal is very telling to what they see from Rob Edwards and, quite frankly, what they expect. Because let's be honest, it's no easy feat trying to turn this round. It really isn't. 11 games in, 2 points adrift. No team has ever survived from this position or position as perilous as this. So they've got a massive job on their hands. I do think the international break is crucial. And we will do videos speak about tactically how I think Wolves will set up, what I would like to see from Rob Edwards. And also we're going to be speaking about the homegrown situations, some of the transfer issues going on around there as well. And generally we've got so much content coming out in the next 2 weeks that I really do hope you do enjoy it. And if you do, please like the video, as I say as well. But I do think, in terms of Rob Edwards, it's a very positive appointment for me, because I don't really think you can lose in terms of a manager that can get the fans on side. Rob Edwards can do that. I think he will do that. And I do think he has probably already done that. I think Chelsea away, after that game, it was quite frankly a poor display, a dreadful display. And ultimately, it can't really get worse than that. Wolves offered absolutely nothing going forward in that game. So as long as Wolves look somewhat attacking, it's somewhat of a threat going forwards, I do think that that's already a win. And I think if we can see Wolves playing a bit more attacking football, looking like scoring more goals, because yes, whilst Wolves have conceded a lot of goals this season, Krejci and Santiago Bueno looks quite a set back line, I would say, in the heart of defence, really. So I don't think he'll change from that too much. But I do think that if he can build and add quality around that in January as well, and I do think that the system he will play, if he does come in and play a 4-2-3-1 and has Joao Gomez and Andre as those double pivots, which we will discuss in another video in further depth, I think there is a very, very big chance that Wolves can turn this around under Edwards, and what an incredible job it really would be. Now, please do let me know in the comments what you think about the appointment of Rob Edwards. There is a massive risk factor to all of this, of course there is, and you have to take some of it with a pinch of salt. I think the Jeff Shee quotes, not many of you, including myself, to be honest, weren't greatly interested in what he had to say. I think he's a liar. I think he's compulsively lying and has compulsively lied to Wolves fans over the years. I think everything he says is pretty much nonsense, but if the fact that he's got a little bit of belief in Rob Edwards give you a bit of hope, maybe. Probably not from him, but I do think the hope hopefully from me and other people who know Rob Edwards on a tactical level. I think Concept Scouting speaks about him very highly with regards to his tactical nous, and I do think there's a lot of people that you could have done far worse than Rob Edwards in terms of bringing that fan harmony together, in terms of bringing everyone on side, because at the end of the day, if Wolves are going to stay up this season, they're going to need you lot in the stands. They're going to need the Wolves fans in the stands, shouting, screaming, giving it every week. And they have been absolutely exceptional through this poor run, especially away from home. Not so much at home, but away from home, Wolves fans have been absolutely excellent. I thought they were excellent against Fulham, excellent against Chelsea, excellent in pretty much every game, to be quite honest. And I do think that these fans who pay such a ridiculous amount of money, thanks to Jeff Shee and Fosun, I think you deserve a lot more, and I do think Rob Edwards will feel that way as well. And I do hope that he comes in, hits the ground running, and he's now got a full international break to work with a lot of these players. You have to remember, some of his very best players have not gone to internationals as well, with the likes of Joao Gomez and Andre, being blessed that they play at the end of the day for a side that are bottom of the the league, really, because ultimately Ancelotti probably just looks at where their league stands are, really, because if anyone's watched football this season, I know Raul Gomez has still been ridiculously consistent. Andre's looked good, but of course has fell out with Vitor Pereira, so hasn't had as many minutes as you perhaps would have liked to have seen him get this season. But again, I think that's a big benefit, having those players that are so key to the leadership group, to ultimately Wolves performing on the pitch. If Raul Gomez and Andre are on it, the chance of Wolves winning the game is massively, massively up. So I do think having an international break with a lot of the core of the squad and some of the best players, quite frankly, in the squad is going to be absolutely crucial as well, going into the next 27 games of the Premier League season and all competitions as well. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how it plays out. Tomorrow, we'll do a video talking about him tactically, what Rob Edwards can bring to Wolves, how I think they can set up, a few ways that I'd like to see them set up. And then we'll also be discussing the homegrown quota, the January window, some of the links we've seen to players and stuff like that in the past. I think this week we've seen lots of Harrison Reed linked to Wolves, David Brooks yet again as well. So we'll definitely be discussing some of them in the near future as well. But thank you all for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, I'd really appreciate it if you would like it. Let me know what you think about the appointment of Rob Edwards below as well. And subscribe to the channel if you're not already. As I say, we are 8 subscribers away from the 2,700 mark. Thank you all for supporting the channel. Thank you all for watching the video, and I'll see you all in the next one.